The galaxy had long believed that the ancient bloodline of the first hegemony had vanished forever, until the day an artifact reacted to a human janitor's touch. The Xerian Museum of Galactic History towered above Kepler 442b, its shimmering crystal architecture reflecting the light of the system's three suns. Inside, relics from 1,000 long-dead civilizations sat quietly under climate-controlled domes, each item representing a culture that once thought itself everlasting. Marcus Chen pushed his cleaning cart down one of the museum's forbidden corridors, his soft-soled shoes squeaking on the polished floors. For 23 years he had worked in these halls, unnoticed by the alien scholars around him. To them, Marcus was just another human laborer, replaceable, invisible, and expected to remain in the margins. Humanity itself had been scattered for 3 generations, ever since Earth's destruction. Most humans scraped by doing menial tasks on whatever world would accept them. The galaxy's dominant species, the telepathic Xerians, the silicon-based Cather, and the radiant Luminari, saw humans as little more than clever animals. Useful, yes, but insignificant in the grand cosmic hierarchy. Marcus paused in front of a vault door plastered with warnings in 17 different languages. Beyond it rested the museum's most dangerous and unstable artifacts, ancient weapons, cursed relics, and objects whose properties even the Xerians couldn't fully explain. His old, scratched security badge beeped against the scanner, and the door slid open with a hiss, bathing the chamber beyond in soft red light. Rows of sealed cases stretched into the shadows. Though he had cleaned this chamber hundreds of times, today felt different. The air vibrated faintly as if the room itself were waiting. At the far end stood the museum's prized possession, the Hegemony Codex. The crystalline artifact glowed from within, its facets containing the compressed knowledge of the first hegemony, the ancient empire that had once ruled half the galaxy. The museum claimed only those of true hegemony blood could activate it, and that lineage had supposedly died out 10,000 years ago. Marcus approached with his usual routine, careful not to trigger alarms. But as he neared the artifact, the codex brightened, its crystal surfaces rotating with mechanical precision. Marcus froze mid-step. He had never seen it respond to anyone. In an instant, the chamber erupted in holographic starlight, star maps unfolding around him. A voice spoke directly into his mind. "Greetings, heir of the blood." Marcus stood motionless as the crystalline codex whirred to life, its inner light intensifying. He dropped his dust cloth, unable to look away. Holograms shifted across the chamber, displaying the galaxy as it had existed millennia earlier, star routes, sprawling empires, and the radiant core of the first hegemony. The voice continued speaking in ancient hegemonic, yet Marcus understood it as clearly as if it were his native tongue. "I am the Codex," it said, "keeper of our greatest accomplishments. You have been awaited." Marcus shook his head in disbelief. "There must be a mistake. I'm just human. A janitor." The Codex responded almost gently. "You are human, yes. But what did you think humans were?" As if answering its own question, the hologram shifted. Marcus watched entire evolutionary trees scroll past, branching histories of countless species. One branch in particular caught his attention. A migration from the galactic core thousands of years ago, a species deliberately spreading itself toward the outer rim. The hegemony did not collapse from war or sickness, the Codex explained. When our era of dominance ended, the wisest among us foresaw the coming decline. Rather than cling to power, they chose adaptation. They scattered themselves across distant worlds, transforming through natural evolution. The humans of Earth became their greatest success, retaining the essential genetic markers while thriving independently. Marcus felt the room spin. "You're saying humans didn't descend from the hegemony? We are the hegemony? Not descended from, evolved from. Your rapid innovation, adaptability, and boundless potential are not accidents. They are the legacy of the first hegemony." Before Marcus could respond, alarms blared. The vault door slammed open and Dr. Vexithera, the museum's Xerian director, rushed in with armed security. They froze, stunned by the sight of Marcus standing surrounded by swirling holograms and rotating crystalline surfaces. The Codex reacted to his slightest movement. Vexithera's mental voice trembled. "Impossible. The sensors show massive energy discharge." "But he's just a janitor?" Marcus finished, feeling a strange new clarity settle over him. The holograms continued to shift, showing technological constructs far beyond anything the museum possessed. Blueprints floated in the air like ancient secrets awakening after ages of silence. For the first time in his life, Marcus saw the aliens' expressions filled not with condescension, but fear. The security team approached cautiously, unsure whether to aim their weapons or run. Marcus stood at the center of the ancient holographic storm, his presence alone enough to activate knowledge that had been dormant for 10 millennia. The Codex interpreted every gesture he made, as though recognizing him as its rightful heir. Vexithera stared at him with shock. "This cannot be. The hegemony line was lost. Extinct." Marcus stepped forward and she instinctively backed away. Something in his eyes had changed, a calm, old intelligence, as though the Codex had awakened a part of him that had always been dormant. The swirling holograms shifted to display star charts and hidden worlds, remnants of the first hegemony's scattered legacy. For 10,000 years, Marcus said quietly, the galaxy searched for the lost bloodline. You never thought to look among the refugees, among the people you dismissed as laborers. The room trembled as the Codex pulsed again, its light dimming to a softer glow. But the knowledge remained within Marcus, flowing through him like starlight. He suddenly understood the hegemony's decision to scatter themselves. They had chosen survival through transformation, not domination. The guards exchanged uncertain glances. Their weapons looked almost primitive compared to the holographic schematics floating around Marcus. Energy conduits, starship chassis, and weapons of impossible complexity rendered the museum's technology trivial. Vexithera gathered her composure, though her voice trembled in Marcus's mind. What do you intend to do with this? Marcus picked up the dust cloth he dropped earlier. The simple motion felt strangely grounding. First, I'm going to finish my shift. His words stunned them. The most powerful artifact in the museum had awakened for him alone, yet he continued as if nothing had changed. But inside everything had changed. Beyond the museum walls, millions of humans lived in obscurity, unaware of their lineage. Generations of refugees had survived humiliation, hardship, and dismissal, all while carrying the genetic legacy of the most influential empire in galactic history. Marcus realized the galaxy had made a fatal assumption. They believed power came from lineage, prestige, or species hierarchy. They never imagined the true heirs of the first hegemony were sweeping their floors. He returned to his cart, feeling the Codex's knowledge hum faintly inside him like a distant star. The age of humanity's anonymity was ending. The galaxy had spent millennia looking down on humans. Soon it would learn the truth. As Marcus resumed his cleaning, he felt as though the universe had shifted around him. The Codex's presence lingered in his mind like a soft echo, not overwhelming but undeniably there. Every hologram the artifact had revealed still glowed in his memory. Ancient trade networks, lost technologies, the slow and deliberate scattering of the hegemony through the cosmos. He understood now why humanity had advanced so rapidly, even after the destruction of Earth. A spark of something ancient lived within every human. The hegemony had designed it that way. They had abandoned empire in favor of evolution, abandoning power structures for survival across time. The museum's staff followed him cautiously as he worked. The guards whispered, unsure whether they should arrest him, study him, or kneel before him. Vexithera watched him with a mixture of awe and dread, her telepathic presence brushing against his mind like a trembling breeze. You possess knowledge that can reshape the galaxy, she said hesitantly. Weapons, gene-forging designs, star maps to forgotten worlds. Do you understand the scale of what lies within you? Marcus nodded. I do. And you still choose to clean floors? For now. He paused, leaning on his mop handle. This job grounded me. I served quietly while being underestimated by everyone around me. That humility is exactly why the hegemony chose adaptation instead of tyranny. The aliens around him exchanged looks. His words carried weight, not because he demanded authority, but because they sensed something ancient standing behind him. The Codex hummed faintly, acknowledging his thoughts. Marcus continued his shift, every motion deliberate and calm. But internally he was planning. Humans across the galaxy were living in poverty, seen as nothing more than a servant species. They believed their place at the bottom was permanent. But the Codex had chosen him. And if he carried the genetic markers, millions of others likely did too. He imagined awakening that knowledge across the galaxy, empowering those who had been overlooked. Not as conquerors but as people reclaiming their rightful heritage. The thought filled him with a quiet fire. As his shift ended, Marcus glanced back at the dimmed Codex. Even dormant, it seemed to watch him, waiting. He knew this wasn't the end of anything, it was the beginning. A new chapter for humanity was starting, and the galaxy was unprepared. When Marcus stepped out of the vault for the final time that night, the museum felt different. The corridors were still immaculate, the alien scholars still busy with their research, but everything behind their routines had shifted. Knowledge that had slept for 10,000 years now flowed through a human janitor, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Word of the incident spread quickly. Museum staff whispered through mental channels, security teams exchanged hushed conversations, and Vexithera contacted the Xerian High Council. But even as bureaucracy spun into motion, Marcus felt strangely calm. He pushed his cart through the quiet halls, replaying the Codex's words. You are the hegemony evolved. That phrase had cracked something open inside him, a truth buried deep within all humans. Humanity had survived planetary annihilation, exile, and centuries of prejudice because they had been engineered to adapt. Their strength wasn't brute force. It was resilience, curiosity, and an unyielding instinct to rebuild no matter what was destroyed. As Marcus exited into the museum's outer courtyard, the triple suns cast long golden shadows over the crystalline structures. He paused beside a towering statue of an ancient hegemony ruler, their features sharp and regal. For the first time he saw a faint resemblance, not physical but in the posture, the confidence. He touched the statue's base. "You didn't die out," he whispered. "You became us." The codex stirred gently in his mind, approving. Marcus gazed toward the distant city where countless humans worked low-wage jobs, unaware of their legacy. He imagined revealing the truth, that humanity had not merely survived the fall of Earth, they had been a dormant empire waiting to reawaken. But power, he knew, was dangerous. He had no desire to overthrow governments or start wars. The hegemony had abandoned empire for a reason. Their downfall had taught them that domination was a dead end. Marcus wanted something different: dignity, recognition, and a future where humans no longer lived in the shadow of other species. As he left the museum grounds, he made a silent promise. He would not let the Codex's power repeat the mistakes of the past. Instead, he would guide humanity toward its rightful place, not above others but alongside them. The galaxy had overlooked humans for millennia. That age was ending. The true legacy of the first hegemony was awakening, and it began with a janitor walking home beneath 3 suns, carrying within him the spark of an empire reborn.